In this video, I'll show you how to build a fully custom Airtable interface using code, but without installing anything locally on your computer, and still being able to use AI to help you build it. Yes, you can experiment with vibe-coded interfaces using Airtable Omni, but building your own extension with code editor gives you significantly more control over layout, logic, and behavior. Instead of starting from a blank page, I will show you how to clone my custom Treemap chart interface, publish it as your own custom interface, and then finally how to modify it. Once you understand this setup, you can build many other type of custom interfaces that go far beyond what standard Airtable interface allow. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Greg from Business Automated. On this channel, you will learn how to build systems to organize your business, automate your workflows, and use the latest tools to grow faster. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more practical tutorials around Airtable, automation, and no-code tools. In this tutorial, I will show you how to build your own custom interface for Airtable, or at least copy my custom interface, install this in your Airtable, and all of that without needing to be a developer. You will learn how to create a custom extension inside of the Builder Hub, how to add this extension inside of your interface, and then also how to develop extension by starting from my code on GitHub. I'll show you how to copy this code into your own account, and then how to run it, test it, and deploy completely online using GitHub Codespaces. Why online? For many no-coders, local setup is the biggest blocker. Setting up your environment, configuring NVM, configuring Node.js, adding NPM, adding the dependencies, all this is unnecessary, complicated, and it can take you a couple of days to figure out what you need. So running this in the browser gives you a significantly easier start, and you can still use AI and agents to help you with the development. Okay, so let's talk about the extension for a moment. So the custom extension that you can see here is a specific type of chart called Treemap chart. So you can see that this is connected together with the standard summary blocks, and it's also connected to Airtable filters that you can add on the interface. So you can see that as I'm changing the selection on the filters, the values are changing. I can also adjust it over here, what is included in the summary over here. At the backend, the way this extension looks like, this is a published extension. So you can see here, I'm having a configuration. I can add table. I can specify what fields are visible to this extension. And then here I have a configuration that I have added inside of my custom extension. Here you can see that this is the description of the chart. I will call it number 1. And you can see this description here on the top block. And then what I can do is, for example, I can change what is the value that is displayed. Like I can change the numbers, like from the data coming from my Airtable, I can change it from profit to, for example, costs or revenue. And I can also change what I'm grouping. So for example, I could change it from business unit to be divisions, and I could group it by zones. So it's a practical, reusable chart that you can use to visualize different types of contributions. Okay, so now let's talk about how we can add a chart like this into our typical Airtable interfaces. So the first step, you have to go to Builder Hub. Builder Hub you'll find here in the settings. You click on the Builder Hub, and that's where you'll land. You need to now create a custom extension. So what we will do, you can ignore the selection on the top. What we will do, we will call it, and for the tagline, we'll use the same description. So now as we have created this extension here, technically you would be able to add this new extension already here. So you can click on custom, and you will find this new extension on the list of extensions that you have. So you can see I have added this extension here. At the moment, it says it does not have any releases, so I cannot do anything about this extension, but I can work on this and develop it locally. Here it says locally, but I'll show you in a second how we can do it online. So now the next step, we would actually need to start installing Airtable CLI and all the other comments over here, but we need to have an environment first. So You can go to the link in the description of the video, which is a link to GitHub. So inside of that link, once you open the link, you see this repository here. Next step would be going to this URL, github/new/import. And this allows you to import a specific repository. So I will copy the URL of existing repository. We don't need to add any username because this is public. And then in this case, what I will do, I will make it a public repository, but for your own project, I highly recommend you put it as private in case you're going to be sharing it. And I'll give it a name over here. All right. And now I can click begin import. All right, it took a moment, so you can see this is already available here. And now you have your standalone copy of my repository. Okay, so how do we start editing it? Here you have a button which is called code, and you can either edit this locally or you can use GitHub Codespaces. So let's create a code space. And you can see that this is initializing an online editing environment. You can customize how you want it to look like. You can change the colors and so on. Usually you can keep the dark mode. For the sake of YouTube, I'll just keep it on the lighter version. All right, so right now we are inside of repository. You can see we can even write some code over here. You can see we have all the access to the command line. Now we can see it's actually running some of the installations in the background, so this is very good. All right, so let's go back to our extension over here. So the next step will be adding Airtable Blocks CLI into your environment. So I copy paste the code. I need to allow my browser to use it, and we just run it over here. And at the moment, you don't need to worry about whether npm is installed, whether all the other elements are installed, because this is going to take a while to get installed. In the meantime, let's talk about what exactly is GitHub Codespaces. So this is a virtual machine that is running in the cloud. And do keep in mind that there are certain limits how much of that machine you can use, like how many compute hours you can use per month. And obviously you can update your quota, you can add additional resources, but in your case, you might be interested in adding some additional time. And there are also some quotas for using the agents and AI inside of this model. Okay, you can see that the npm package has installed. Now, the next element that we would have to do is add our API key. Block set API key. Now it's asking us to create a token. So in the create new token, I will add the base that I'm using for the development, and also I'll add more scopes because I will be needing this, but the main one you need over here is block manage to be able to release the blocks. Now we copy this token and add it over here. Oops, let me check. All right, it was not active yet. All right, so now we have the block configured. We are able to release the block, but there is one other element. Back in the settings, you can see that it's running an initialization over here with the template that you have selected before. So the only thing that we need actually from here is this part. And over here, you go to the block configuration on the side. So let's replace this block ID with the ID of your own block. You can also find this here in the URL. So now once this is done, Control S to save this file. And now let's type block run. And you can see it has started the server over here. And this server is running on those ports. And what we actually want the port that is 9001, and we are going to change the visibility to be public. And we're going to copy this URL, and we'll come back to our Airtable interface. And on this page, in the development section of the block that you have added, we will replace the server with the remote server. So now we can click develop, and it will start the extension from the server that you're running right now in the cloud. And to prove to you that this is what is coming from the cloud, we'll actually ask AI to update this. I'm asking it to add a title to the chart. And you can see that it's doing changes. And we can see that one file got modified. This is the file with the Treemap chart. You can see that this was added over here. And yeah, we have it over here inside of our Airtable. So obviously you can manually modify this text over here. Let's save the changes. Let's go back to our block here. You can see that this might not be updating immediately. You might want to stop and restart it over here just to see the changes. There might be some delay happening, but basically you see what's coming from the remote extension here, and you can control all the changes over here. If you are happy with everything, I will not be going through like all the details that you need to know about GitHub. I think it makes sense to learn a little bit more about like committing changes, because this is actually quite useful. But even if you don't care about this part right now, you could use the chatbot here to modify everything inside of this starter. You can modify specific aspects. You could completely remove this component and use something completely new inside of index over here. Yeah, and if you are happy with that, if you would like to use this specific component, then you can go back to the terminal, and what you could do over here is I'll press Ctrl C and we will do block release. We'll call it initial release. You have successfully released the block. So if you go back to the description of this block, you will see that there is a release. All right. And when you go back, when you reload this, you actually see that second extension working without anything added. So this is the original chart that we had, and this is the one where we added the description on top. So you can see that this is actually not running any local server and so on, because even the local server here is not running, but this basically is an extension that you have added to your own interface. Yeah. So the name is disappearing because it might be needing a little bit bigger window, but you can see that this is the new extension that we have built. Final thoughts. So when we come back over here, remember to close the code spaces so it doesn't run your credit. So what we can do, we can quickly commit the changes. So I added this changes to staging, and I make a quick commit and sync of the changes. I will push them to the branch. I will not be getting into details of managing the branches. I don't think that's relevant at this stage. All right. And once this is done, you can go back over here to your Git, and over here, you can see which code spaces are running. It makes sense to stop it so that you don't use your free allowance for this running when you're not using it. All right. So that's it. This way you have a copy of my custom extension, but you can also be adjusting it to have it do whatever you would like. So if you like this video, please subscribe, let us know in comments. And if you are interested in custom extension and you don't want to be playing with all this craziness, then do reach out to us and we will happily build a custom extension that you might need for your business. All right, guys, thank you so much and have a fantastic day. Bye.